And his name is actually Harold the Peacock, and he's got history out there.
Yes.
Check out that website.
Yes.
But he's going to talk about something, well, we all know Dame Nellie Melba and Steele Rudd.
Yes.
There's a tragic story of a death by horse 150 years ago. G'day, Harold the old yachts.
Yeah, good morning, Damo and Danny.
It's my program. It's Danny first, then Damo, right?
Danny, then Damo and all the mics. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but this story goes way before Channel 9.
Exactly.
Trumped all of them.
Get on.
Look, and it was 150 years ago in August 1874 that the Ipswich newspaper reported that little of sufficient importance had actually happened that month. So it was a really slow month, although it did note that Ipswich had been tolerably well supported and supplied with amusements, including concerts and an excellent circus. Now, the circus performed on 2 nights to crowded houses and included a stud of magnificently trained horses, as well as a clown by the name of Leontia, who apparently was actually quite funny. And the concerts, well, there had been 3 of them by a Miss Christian, with one of the performances in aid of the widow of Mr. Daniel Brodie. And that's what I want to tell you about today.
Yes.
You see, for Daniel Brodie, for 12 years, he'd been a highly respected resident of Ipswich. And one day, he was coming home from Brisbane when he was thrown from his horse near Oxley. Now, he was noticed by some people passing by. He picked him up, and he was in an insensible state, and they put him under a tree. He spent the whole night in freezing conditions under that tree, where he was found the next morning by some more people, and they took him to the Oxley Hotel. Now, it was there that Brodie, who was by then unconscious, was attended by not 1 but 3 doctors. Now, there was Dr. John Japp, who was the superintendent of the nearby Goodna Mental Asylum. There was also Dr. William von Losberg. You might remember him. He was the first doctor on the scene of the St Mary's School tragedy. He provided the controversial autopsies for the Gatton murders. He testified for low intellect of the last woman sentenced to hang. And he thought that a man called Paddy the Horse was actually insane. But then, and the third doctor, he was Dr. Kevin Izod O'Doherty.
Right.
He was an Irish rebel who was transported to Van Diemen's Land for treason. But then he came good because he set up a medical practice here in Ipswich, and by this time was a member of the Queensland Legislative Council and one of the colony's leading doctors.
Right.
Now, despite these 3 top doctors doing all they could, Brodie gradually faded away and died.
Wow.
Now, he left a wife and 6 children.
Wow.
Now, that's where Mr. John Archibald comes into action. Now, he was the manager of the firm where Brodie was foreman. And Archibald arranged for a gift of £100, which enabled Brodie's widow to keep the family together. Now, Archibald, he'd become one of Queensland's great captains of industry. He was chairman of Foggett, Jones and Co., the building you can see still at South Brisbane. Right. He was twice Mayor of Warwick and was a member of the Queensland's Legislative Council. And after Brodie died, a son-in-law would be Steele Rudd of Dad and Dave fame. So this is Brodie was Steele Rudd's father-in-law.
Wow.
The performance I mentioned, that musical singing performance I mentioned earlier, that was given by Miss Mary Ellen Christian, and she was famously the singing teacher of Dame Nellie Melba.
Wow.
And then remarkably, exactly to the day, 8.5 months after Brodie fell off his horse and died, his 7th child was born.
Wow.
So isn't that amazing? 8.5 months later, he had another child. And so in August 1874, when the newspaper said there was nothing happening in Ipswich, it was actually really, really busy, and it hasn't stopped since. So
Hope you haven't defamed anybody. He'll come from his grave and sue us.
No, I think we're pretty safe because what's wrong? He had a child 8.5 months after he died.
Well, that's
a good thing.
How did he do that? Like, he done the business before. Now, where do we find these great stories? Because there's a lot of stories that you tell us that's on your Facebook site.
Yeah, that's right. Look, you can go to all the socials for history out there or go straight to the website, Tragedy.Ipswich.com. There's about 220, 240 Ipswich stories there alone that you can jump onto.
And, mate, they're very good stories, and they're interesting. So
Well, I hope so. I do my best.
you are one of the great researchers, and you're also on 4WK with Damien Lee.
Yeah, that other guy that's sitting there beside you.
Yeah.
When does he on with?
Every Tuesday morning
Thank you.
between 7:30 and 8.
There he is. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Harold the H. P. Cockadoodle-Doo, a.k.a. Harold Peacock from HistoryOutThere.com. You'll hear him about this time each week right here on West Bremer Radio.